Well, hello. Welcome to the Pitchy podcast. We are your hosts, James
and Stephanie.
Here on the Pitchy podcast, we are always passionate about good music and a great vocal. We'll use the vehicle of NBC's The Voice to give our take on each contestant. We'll give you our feedback on their voice and overall performance. Here on the Pitchy podcast, we'll always keep it 100 with our feedback and critiques of each contestant. What we are not here to do is come for any contestant or any contestant as a human being. That is not us. While we sometimes come off a little bitchy at times, if you know what I mean, we'll always do our best to speak our truths with love, kindness, and respect. And with that, let's go ahead and get started with night 2 of season 23.
Yes.
But our season 2 of the Pitchy podcast.
Yes.
Second episode of season 2. I was confused because we're in the 23rd season of The Voice.
Yeah. Lots of 2s and 3s.
Yes, 2s and 3s. So, last night, Stephanie, last night is the reason why we love this show so much.
Absolutely. You nailed it. Absolutely.
You all, let me tell you, if you didn't watch it yet, you need to watch it, okay? Don't just trust us, but you can trust us because we are your official voice podcast, NBC Voice podcast. Not officially for NBC, but we're going to be your official voice podcast.
Unofficial official
podcast. And take our word for it. You need to watch this episode. It was only an hour, so you got time.
Yeah.
Hide your kids, hide your what? No. Put the kids to bed. And maybe, hopefully, you can always pull it up, the episode up. And it was so funny because, like Stephanie and I always say, we have normal lives outside. Yeah. And when Stephanie said, "Ooh, tonight's only an hour," whew, okay.
Yeah.
So it is only an hour episode.
Yeah.
And if you put it up in the DVR cloud or whatever, you can.
And all of the performances are on YouTube as well. So that's the easy way to access just the performances.
Always an easy way to access. I had to take notes again for this one. Stephanie, this is the first season I'm taking notes because these episodes I can't forget some of the things that I noticed on these episodes. So without further ado, you know what, Stephanie, let's jump right in to our first contestants, plural, because we have another group. Who we got, Stephanie?
We do. We have the trio of Sheer Element. They are from LA, and they sang Silk Sonic's "Leave the Door Open."
I got songs in here.
Say baby, say baby, say baby.
I got it in my head. What a way to start. First of all, song choice. Last night was the night for really good song choices.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Like from start to finish, for the most part, those song choices were fire.
Yes.
It is a first impression. Sometimes it's a last impression.
Right.
And it is so important that you come out strong. So "Leave the Door Open" is a song like, what's the troll song that Justin Timberlake did? I can't
stop the feeling. Don't stop the feeling.
It's a song like Pharrell's "Happy." It's a song that everyone that hears it it's nostalgic.
Yeah.
It takes people to wherever, a very happy place.
Right.
So it was very refreshing. And people are starting to do this song a lot.
Yes.
So when you bring a song like "Leave the Door Open," you got to bring your own zhuzh to it. And did they bring the zhuzh to it? Woo, did they bring the zhuzh to it? Let me tell you, when I went back and listened to this audition in my good ears, Stephanie, did you know that opening was fire?
Yes.
How they opened the song?
Yes.
Like, it was like...
Yes. It was magical.
It was just, and it came from, to me, it felt like it came from all different directions.
Yes, it was like an atmosphere setter. Yes, it's like, what is
going on here? Like, it was crazy fire. And then because you can tell that we have another group, just like the sisters from the night before, where the musicianship is impeccable.
Yes,
impeccable. And in order to be in a duo or a trio, you gotta be a musician. You gotta be an impeccable musician. And let me tell you, Taban, let me tell you, brother, young brother, you got crazy vocals. Crazy vocal.
Yes.
Again, you know me, Steph. I like my understated singers. And to me, like, whenever he took, like, he was right there in the cut, but then when he took the lead on the parts, I was like, yo, this dude's voice is undeniable.
Yes.
And then, out of nowhere, I said, wait a second.
Right.
I know that voice.
Right.
Of my man, Jedge. And I was like, why do I know this voice? And then sure enough, Kelly confirmed it later that Jedge was a previous individual contestant on season 16 of The Voice. And I was not watching The Voice on the regular back then, but he is someone I just happened to catch online.
Yeah.
And I sent it to Stephanie last night. His audition, first of all, was fire. If you ever want to go back and watch his initial audition from season 16, it was fire. But he did this duet. I sent it to Stephanie, and I was like, yo, he had like one of the greatest battles like ever go on this show. And I don't know what happened to Judge. Obviously, he didn't win it. But to see, Judge is, it's kind of a conundrum for me, Stephanie, because I want to ask myself, am I upset that he's back, that he gets to come back on the show? Or am I excited because he was one of my favorites from the past season? But you reminded me, this is a group, James. It's a completely different vibe, completely different. He's not doing it on his own. He's with this group. And because Judge, he's a vocal tidal wave, okay? Yeah. Like, total destruction. Total destruction. Yeah. Between him, Tavon, and Izzy.
Izzy was hollering.
She was. Did you hear her up there in the stratosphere?
Did you hear her up there in the stratosphere?
Like, yo, I said, they did not come to play. They came to slay.
That's right.
And they are going to be very formidable contestants.
For sure.
They're going to go far. They picked, well, I'll let you tell them who they picked. But did you also notice, Stephanie, how groups are starting to become, ever since Girl Named Tom won, groups are starting to become very popular on this show.
Right.
It's like almost as if they want another group to win this. Right. Because the two groups that they've shown, and they're two trios, which is have been top-notch vocalists, top-notch musicians. Man, I cannot wait to hear what they do next.
Me neither.
Definitely.
Me neither. So when I was listening to them, they reminded me of another group of 5. So I was thinking, well, forget the pentatonics. They like the triatonics. Like, and that's mostly because of what they did in the arrangement of that song. They did a lot of what I hear the pentatonics do, which is give one person like a solo piece while the other members of the group are doing melodies in the background.
Correct.
Or harmonies in the background, I should say. Each and every one of those artists in Sheer Element is can be, as we saw with Jedge, a standalone artist on their own. Like, all 3 of them are really, really strong. Put them together.
You got incredible, it in bold, right?
Yes, but it's always really impressive to me when strong artists on their own can sing together, because there takes a lot of humility. It takes ears. It takes musicianship to be able to mold yourself and mold your sound so that you blend and combine with the other members of your group.
Yeah.
So I thought that they were super, super impressive. Niall had a really great comment, which he had a lot of really great comments last night. But he said that they made him feel. And they made me feel too. Like I was grooving to the song for sure, but they also made me feel the song as well. Again, I love their vocal choices. I love their melodic choices. I love the way that they chose to arrange this song. It was insane. It was a wonderful start to the show.
I want to tell people out there that are listening to the Pitchy podcast, if you ever want to audition for anything, the first thing you learn about professional auditions is you got to grab them within the first 10 seconds. If you do not grab them within the first 10 seconds, it's going to be very difficult.
Right.
Because a lot of times they only give you 16 bars to sing. That's 16 measures to sing a song.
That's right.
So you don't even get a full song. You maybe get a verse and like one part of the chorus
to
sing. So you got to grab them in the beginning. And that's why I was so impressed with so many of these artists. But this group, that opening, like the coaches were saying, they were like, how many voices is it? Like, people sound like pentatonic and there's only 3 of you.
It's only 3 of y'all.
Easy.
Exactly.
That was fire.
Yes, it was.
That was fire. And
yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. So they went with
I'm shocked.
I was too, actually, and I think she was as well. They ended up on Team Kelly, and that is a little surprising because Jej was on Team Kelly when he was on the previous time on his own.
Yes.
So I'm glad.
Kelly was shocked.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes. And again, I'm going to give you some fun facts about each one of our artists that I learned from the Voice app. So these 3 met at the University of Southern California and they began singing. Yeah, they began singing there. And again, like we said, Jej is actually the first artist to ever come back after he's already been a part of the show.
Right.
And he made it all the way to top 13 when he was on Team Kelly in season 16. So he made it. He made it far.
My heart, because I'm like, if y'all go back and watch Jej, like Jej is finale.
He's the truth. He's the truth.
He is finale material.
Yes.
By himself. So
yes, absolutely. Yes.
All right. Any other fun facts? Or we good?
Nope, we're good.
Okay. All right. So who do we have next, Stephanie?
Next up was Carlos Rising. He's 28 years old. He's from Wilmington, North Carolina, and he's a full-time musician.
What is in the water in North Kakalaka?
Something. Oh, and I didn't tell you what he sang, which is almost the most important thing.
Correct.
He sang Change the World by Eric Clapton. And I don't know if you noticed, James, as soon as it came in, as soon as the music came in, everybody was like, yeah.
Another perfect audition song, but you got to do it well because everybody knows the song.
Yes.
But that is a cross-generation, cross-music genre song. Another perfect audition piece.
Yes.
To show personality.
Yes.
Show artistry.
Yes.
Show musicianship.
Yes.
He is a guitar player as well. Which is so interesting when Blake said, I really noticed that you're really playing. Right. Blake is a guitar player.
Yes.
And he knows when people are just strumming chords versus really playing.
That's right.
Not saying there's nothing wrong with strumming chords, but I'm just saying.
Right.
Blake, I love that Blake pointed that out.
Right.
Great song choice. In the playback in my good ears, Stephanie, I heard an MJ quality to his voice.
Interesting.
I heard a little Michael Jackson. And
okay.
About when Michael's singing like full out. I'm talking about when Michael pulls it back, and
you're talking about like a human nature kind of performance.
Nature.
I can hear that. Yeah.
He has a very, I wrote down nurturing voice. voice.
Yeah.
It's very pleasant. Very, but I heard MJ.
Okay.
His voice.
Yeah.
Carlos, again, watch the ends of your phrases. And not so much that I just feel like you maybe, and this probably had a lot to do with nerves, because I can only imagine how nervous you are getting in front of the coaches and being on live TV, or excuse me, being on national TV. I felt like they were clipped a little bit, and they could have been held out just a tad longer. And also watch the transition from your chest to your falsetto. Like, it needs to be a little bit smoother, because you have a very strong falsetto and a very strong chest, and that is called the passaggio, or the passage up. So just
teach him, James. Teach him.
It just takes a little bit more breath support, a little bit more breathing from the diaphragm. No, just kidding. Yeah. A little bit more breath support, and you're right there, because you have a great voice. I think, Stephanie, one thing that Carlos, I think his niche, I think he just, any acoustic, anything, Carlos is going to be at the top. That's his lane.
Yes.
Like, he is a introspective singer. He is a singer that's going to draw you in and tell the story.
Yes.
But I think that was a great audition piece, and I'm interested to see what he's going to do. Yeah,
me too.
What you got?
I loved his voice, because it's really rare that you hear someone that has, I don't even know if I want to call it an accent, but like a slight accent to his voice. Like there was a lot of character in his voice. So, and specifically with anything that has an A-N in it is where I noticed, like everything instead of everything. I loved that. That really drew me in. Like you said,
maybe that was his Southern roots. Right?
Maybe. But it's interesting, because even with Southern people, unless you're singing country music, you don't necessarily hear that.
No.
So I thought that was really cool. Again, great song choice, and great song choice for a couple of reasons. Number one, because it's a beautiful song, but also because, like you were alluding to a little bit, James, there's so much space in that song for you to kind of do what you want to do without getting too far outside of the melody of the song. Again, Niall had a great reference point, saying that he reminded him of James Morrison.
Yes,
a lot of character.
Great. I was like, yes.
Yeah, me too. I was like, yes.
Come on, Blake, you don't know who James Morrison is, bruh.
Come on. So a lot of character, like that storyteller quality in his voice, and just really authentic and believable. Like I believed Carlos last night.
Yeah.
But just like you were saying, James, the one critique I would give is the finishing of the lines. Right. And I think that he would have had more people turn for him if those lines were a little bit cleaner at the end. I think that might have been what held the other coaches back.
Yeah.
However, Blake turned within a moment. Like he turned within that 10 seconds. And I really believe it was a combination of the character in Carlos's voice along with the song
choice.
As soon as the song started, Blake was like
and you
tapping. He was in
smile.
it.
Like he's not an unpleasant person, but he had joy on his face.
Yes,
he said it. He was like, "I love that song."
Yes. And it ended up that Kelly turned at the very last second as well.
To your point, Stephanie, I think Kelly heard what we heard. I truly think that when he settled in to the song, the person got better.
Yeah, for sure. So he ended up on Team Blake.
Smart choice, Carlos. Smart.
And here's our fun fact about Carlos. Carlos started music at age 11 when he picked up a bass at his dad's church.
Wow.
And started playing that. And then he continued on with his musical journey. And that led him in 2017 to be performing at a church conference in Prague. And that is where he met his lovely wife.
Wow. And
isn't that cool?
I love the dedication that
Yes.
he gave to his wife.
Yes.
To say she uprooted her entire life for me.
Yep.
And he's like, and she is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Yep.
So, like he gave homage to his wife.
Yes.
And that was awesome.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. All right. Who do we have next?
Before I say who we have next, I'm going to remind our watchers, our viewers, and our listeners that we are not going to talk about any contestants that did not make it through to the next round.
Right.
So there was a contestant that came next, but we are going to go to the next contestant, who was Magnus. Magnus is 25 years old. He's from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and he sang Sarah Smile by Hall & Oates.
Now, before I get into Magnus, I got to ask a question. Did you ever watch the documentary that
Yes.
Pharrell did?
Yes.
Was Magnus in? Because he obviously was in that choir.
Okay, and my fun fact, yes.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know.
Yes.
Because I remember you and I got really excited when that documentary came out.
Yes. Yes.
It was like basically a singing competition to get
Yes.
into a choir that
Yes.
Pharrell. And,
Yes.
And I was like, and then when I saw Magnus's backstory, I said, oh.
Yes.
Oh, so before Magnus even came out, before he even opened his mouth, I said,
We knew.
I'm about to have an experience.
Yes.
And Stephanie had watched this, and she was a little ahead of me, because I usually don't start because, I don't have time for commercials. But Stephanie was a little ahead of me. And she just did, I got the James text. She didn't tell me who it was.
Nope.
She didn't tell me what it was.
Nope.
And I will sometimes text her back and I'll say, good or not?
Good or bad?
So she said, James. And then again, just by his backstory, I said, this is about to be.
Yep.
And then when they announced the song, if you didn't know about Daryl Hall and John Oates, you better learn quickly.
You gotta ask somebody.
Daryl Hall and John Oates, blue-eyed soul, as we like to call them. They're a couple of guys who were huge in the 80s. If you don't know them, who they are, you probably have heard of their songs. I could talk about Hall and Oates all day.
Right.
But, and Sarah Smiles is, you want to talk about a song with a groove.
Oh, God.
And a vibe.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I said, he's about to sing this song down.
Yes.
And as Chance the Rapper would have done, and I'm sure Stephanie and I'm sure I can't speak for Stephanie, but I'm sure she would agree with me.
Yes.
I would have hit that button halfway through the first note. Now, I wouldn't even let him get his first note out. Probably I would have hit it faster than Chance hit that button. And Chance, made it 3/4 of a way through the first.
No, I will tell you exactly when Chance hit his button.
He hit that button.
Okay, the very first line of the song is baby hair. Baby hair. Bop. That's how quick he hit that button. That man said 2 words.
I did, baby.
Bump.
Y'all, Stephanie's going to post this performance in the notes.
Please watch.
This, to me, gave me the same type of chills I received when Kim Cruz auditioned.
Bingo.
Like the same type of chill.
Bingo.
Magnus. And his mom was adorable. I love. Was that his mom or his grandmother?
I think I was his mother.
Yeah, she was adorable. Magnus is 25 going on 50. Because I was shocked to hear and to see that he was 25 because he just looks like an old soul. Not that he looks old, he just looks like an old soul. Sounds like an old soul. Mm-hmm. But he's got a voice all his own. Nobody sounds like Magnus. You all, the melody manipulation this man did with his runs. Now, again, I am a firm believer that runs should be ornamental
Yeah.
unless you are a Jasmine Sullivan, unless you are a Kim Cruz, or unless you are a Magnus.
Come on.
Because Magnus did just, because it's hard to explain that how somebody can stay true to a song, but manipulate the melody to the song. That's a true artist to me.
Yes.
Through and through. And I can't explain it. And you're like, well, James, can he at least get the melody out? Well, no, he didn't have to.
Yeah.
He was that strong.
Yeah.
Stephanie, did you hear the longing in his delivery? Like
there was some, I don't want to call it delay, but it was back, you know what I'm saying?
Back phrasing.
Back phrasing, exactly.
Yes. Oh my Lord.
Oh,
you got to watch this performance, you all. It is, I mean, funky vibrato.
Yes.
Crazy falsetto.
Yes.
Strong chest. Transition from the chest to the falsetto was bananas. And it was perfectly vocally arranged. And I'm not talking about what he did to manipulate the melody and all that. I'm just talking about his tricks when he showed you. Reminded me of Devix, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Devix, I used to say Devix had every trick in the book, and he would just throw it out at a perfect timing. This guy planned a perfect delivery of a perfect song. And it was crazy. He gave me Anthony Hamilton vibes.
For sure.
Big time Anthony. And maybe that was the vibrato I heard in his voice. But there was also a brightness to not only his voice, but the spirit in him was very it was very effervescent.
Yes.
And I really like this guy. He seems like a really, really nice dude. Really humble. Stephanie, I don't even know what else to say.
I don't know what else more to say, because you pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. He caressed the song.
Yeah.
And I think that this song choice, number one, there are just some songs that the moment you hear them, kind of like Blake with Change the World, the moment you hear it, you're in. No matter what comes out of their mouth, almost you're in, right?
Yes.
So that's Sarah Smile for me. The moment he began, I was in. But I think the brilliance of this choice, almost like with Change the World, is that there's so much space, especially at the ends of each phrases of these songs, for vocalist, artist to make those different melodic choices. So it's interesting because I kind of go back and forth between whether he was making melodic choices or doing a bunch of runs, because I think that those are different things. And I think that he was just doing a lot of melodic manipulation to the ends of the phrases of the song that made it his own.
Yeah.
And it was a clinic. It was a clinic. And just like you said, it felt very similar to when we watch Kim D. Cruz's audition. Like I have no critique. All I can do is stand there in awe of what I just watched and listened to. It was brilliant, but I'm going to tell you why this is the first thing in this season that has made me really, really, really mad. And you already know.
No excuses, coaches. No excuses.
Magnus was a one-chair turn. And I am at a loss for why. I think the other person I was thinking of, because it was like, there was somebody else I was mad about. It was Holly. Why Blake didn't turn around for Holly from Monday night.
Yeah.
But this was even more egregious because this man sang his tail off. And I have no understanding as to why he was a one-chair turn.
And all the judges who didn't turn were falling all over him. And
they couldn't tell you why. They couldn't tell us why.
I didn't even understand their excuse talking about what they say. Chance. We just saw how excited Chance was.
And so when do they care about when another coach is excited about a contestant to make them not want to go for that contestant if they are also excited about them? I will tell you, listeners and viewers, this is the first time so far in the season where I'm like, okay, this is TV. This has to be TV.
Right.
This has to be TV because there is no way no other judge or no other coach turned for him because they didn't like him or because they didn't want him on their team.
Right.
There had to have been, and I'm not trying to say there's any kind of anything nefarious because he did get on the show. Now, if he wouldn't have got on the show, we would have season 2 would be finished of the Pitchy podcast. We would have to find something else to talk about if we wanted to continue. So I'm glad that he made it on, onto the show. But the fact that only one coach, Chance, turned for him, and as quickly as Chance turned, and for what that man did for the rest of his 90 seconds of that song, my face.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway.
Man, Magnus, let me tell you, young man, I cannot wait.
Can't wait.
To hear what you're going to bring next.
Especially being on Team Chance.
Know how difficult a song is like Sarah Smiles.
Right.
How difficult it is, not so much to sing, because like Kim Lee Cruz did with Daniel Caesar's Best Part, and like Niall did with Hall & Oates on Sarah Smiles. These are masterfully written songs. So when you have a song with a almost flawless melody, as these songs are, and then you bring an artist who brings their own artistry to the song, it to me shows you how even more magnificent the song is. And
for sure,
that song,
for sure.
Woo!
For sure.
Great song. Great song, great audition.
Yeah. So again, he is on
the absolute strongest auditions I've ever seen on The Voice, ever.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. So again, Magnus is on Team Chance.
Yeah, you better be.
He better be. And the fun fact about Magnus, and they talked a little bit about it on the episode in his backstory, is that he is a current member of Pharrell's Voices of Fire Choir, which was a documentary a year or two ago. And they have sung on Jimmy Kimmel Live. They've sung on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And again, he is a current member of that choir.
Yes.
And they were only, I forget how many people auditioned, but I think they were only taking 50 people in the choir.
Yes.
So.
Oh, a great documentary if you've not seen it. If it's still on Netflix. Wonderful documentary on singing. Yeah. Okay.
You gonna be able to keep it together? You gonna be all right this last artist?
I'm gonna be all right.
Okay. All right. So our last artist is Kala Banham. She is 24 years old. She's from Windermere, Florida, and she sang Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell.
The Joni Mitchell. Who, if you want to watch something, a really wonderful tribute to Joni, and how brilliant of a songwriter, this is the one who sang, "Oh, I don't want to see this go." Like she wrote,
Joni Mitchell Never Lie from Janet Jackson.
like if you don't know about Joni Mitchell, do your studies, and that's my first compliment to Kala, because somebody musically raised her right.
Come on.
The fact that she's auditioning with a Joni Mitchell song and she's very young, somebody musically raised her right.
Yes.
I was immediately drawn into Kala as she introduced herself. She's like, "My name is just like Koala."
And can I tell you that helped me? That helped me because, names is a struggle for me sometimes. So that really helped me. I was like, thank you.
I said, thank you. And that's brilliant. Like, especially folks who especially here at the Pitchy Podcast, and Stephanie being an educator, it is important, so important for us to be able to pronounce names correctly.
Yes.
So please know that if we mispronounce your name, you can send us a message in the socials to help us pronounce your name correctly.
Yes,
Paula, I
please.
love how she said that yesterday. Yes. Wow. I mean, what do you say to probably one of the, in a good way, one of the scariest voices I've heard in recent years?
Right.
And the reason why I say scary is because I can describe the voice, but you got to hear it. You got to put your good ears in to really hear it. But you got to hear it to understand what Stephanie and I are about to talk about. Y'all got to flow with me for a second, because there are so many things I can pull from to describe this woman's voice. So many greats. But I've rarely ever heard a singer come on a show, and I heard, and I probably have said this before about people like Kim Lee Cruz and other singers, where I'm just like, I heard a symphony come out of her mouth. I heard a countless number of the greatest singers of all time come out of her mouth. It is an anointed voice. It is touched by the Most High, because right from the jump, did you hear the yodel? Did you hear the manipulation of her vibrato? And I can tell she manipulated her vibrato to give me a little Stevie Nicks in it. But then when her voice started to soar, I heard Celine. I heard I heard Sarah Bareilles, and I heard a lot of other singers that aren't coming into my head. But if every time I go back and listen to it, it was an experience. Kala, I don't think Kala even knows how amazing she is. I don't think she has any clue what type of voice she really has. Like, it is a 1 in a million voice.
Yeah.
And I've never heard a singer manipulate their vibrato in the sense of, and that's, again, for those of you that don't know, that's the la in her voice. It's the kind of wavery part at the end of holding a note, where it's fast, and then other parts of the song she slows it down to be more even. Right. And it was a vocal clinic. It was a vocal clinic. Like, it was in the song. The song, to be that young and to convey a song like that is a very tall order. Because it's Joni Mitchell, and Joni Mitchell is going to take you. She's going to take you to the trenches. Like, she's going to take you deep. Yeah. To really, and it was. Well, Stephanie, I'll let you tell the Pitchies how it affected you, but it was an emotional experience for me. And yeah, she's a special voice. Such. I wish I had other adjectives to describe. Unique in all the wonderful ways of uniqueness, but a once in a million voice.
Yeah.
All right, what you got, Stephanie?
Her voice cut.
Yeah.
Right away. And what I mean by cut is you felt her right away. You felt the authenticity. You felt the emotion. You felt the humility. She made me, I'll just speak for me. She made me feel right away. There was an artist, I believe last season, that we said had kind of like a filtered voice. Like, it almost sounded like it was. Yes. Yeah. That it almost sounded as if it was. Grace. Yeah.
He's an artist I thought of too. Another person that we were so
Grace Bello.
I don't know if folks are gonna and that's the thing I'm worried about. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's the thing I'm worried about. I don't know if people are gonna really hear. I hope she goes far because I need to hear this voice more.
Well, I think that they will hear, they might just not understand what they are hearing, right. But that's where feeling comes in. That's where emotions come in. And the song choice coupled with her voice and her presence just made this performance really impactful. And like, I can see why she was the last artist that they put on, because of how taken and impacted all of the coaches were by her performance.
Is a word that just popped in my head.
Yes, absolutely. Niall again gave a couple really good descriptions of her performance and her voice. He said brittle. I've never used that language to talk about somebody's performance or voice, but it was so spot on and tender. And that was spot on as well. Again, her voice has the awe. Yeah. There is definite awe on her voice. And she had range as well. Like, let's not skip that point. Like, yes, crazy range in her voice. It was incredible. It was incredible. So I can't wait to see what else she does in the competition as well. Wow. She made me cry when I listened to it the second time or the third time, right before we recorded. She brought me to tears.
And it's so interesting. So Steph and I texted a little bit and we talked a little bit last night, but like one of the things that we both texted each other last night is just, we are just so excited for this season. Mm-hmm. To give you all a little, if we can be transparent with you, we were like, how is it going to top last season? Because Stephanie and I, in our hearts, it was our inaugural season for the podcast, and it was our first season, and we got to know personally some of the contestants, and we were like, oh gosh, is it going to live up?
Yeah.
And then Stephanie and I texted each other last night. We were like, we were both so excited for this season.
Right.
It's starting off really strong.
Really strong.
It's
Absolutely.
very difficult for some of these folks to go home, because we just don't know how you're going to send them home, because they're just incredible.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Incredible. Yes.
So Kala went with Coach Niall.
Yeah.
Which I was so happy for, because he really loved.
He needs a special singer.
And he needed that on his team. Absolutely. Yeah. So I was really happy for the both of them, because I think that he's going to give her some really great coaching and guidance. And the fun fact about Kala is that her dad is Australian. Her mom is Filipino. So she's got a cool little mix of culture. She sang in high school in a jazz band, and she led worship at church. And she was a competitive collegiate singer in an a cappella group. So that point alone, James and I discussed it. That point alone let us know that she has some chops.
Legit.
Absolutely.
As our one of our music mentors told us, you got to have big ears. You have to be a superior musician to be in any type of group, especially an a cappella, because Pitch Perfect is a movie, but it's based off of the competitive collegiate a cappella groups. And if you all hear any of these groups, it is crazy. It is crazy what they can do. So
Right. I would be remiss. I have to talk 1 second about Jimmy Fallon, because I thought he was hilarious. I knew it was him right away. And I thought he was hilarious. I keep forgetting is the perfect song for him to audition to. Michael McDonald. I thought I was falling over. And legit, like Michael McDonald legit is not Michael McDonald. Jimmy Fallon can legit blow. Like if he wants to really sing, he can sing.
A lot of comedians have incredible voices.
Yeah, absolutely. I was dying. Yes, it was hilarious.
He's like, you don't even have to know the words. I love it.
And it's kind of true. It's kind of true.
Michael McDonald. As Tony Braxton was saying, I feel like you got marbles in your mouth or a bunch of sugar in your mouth when you're singing.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
That was great. That was cute. That was cute. When did what's his name? Blake had me on the floor. He's like, I knew who it was. I wasn't.
He was like, I wasn't pushing my button. Right.
That was great.
Yes.
Awesome episode. Well, that is the end of week 1 for The Voice. And like I said earlier, Stephanie and I couldn't be more excited about what is coming down the pike.
Yes.
So, Stephanie, tell everybody what they need to know.
Okay. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Pitchy podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you can be the first to know when we drop a new episode. And as you know, we are on YouTube. So you can search for the Pitchy podcast and hit that subscribe button so you know when we drop a new video. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Pitchy Podcast for new episode alerts, episode clips, and so much more.
Don't forget to follow us. It'll bless your soul.
Yes.
All right, everyone. So we'll see you next week for night 3. We are deep in the blinds. And
yes, we are.
We love it. So
yes.
We'll see everyone soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.